All right, everyone. We are in for the treat of treats, ladies. Today, we have done a lot. We saw fits. We have learned a lot about health, nutrition, more than ever want to hear about menopause, but I heard about it. Hormones, finding ourselves, finding little girls within, at least within you all, because I don't have a little girl within me. And today, we had the distinct honor and pleasure to introduce to you one of the most influential women in the world. I say in the world because Mary Kay is arguably the most recognized makeup brand ever made. Gloria, our speaker, has sold more Mary Kay than any human being that ever walked the face of the earth. She is a success strategist. She helps women, men, businesses increase performance through leadership. She is an all-time record breaker. Harvard MBA, Howard undergrad. She's been married for 30 years in September to Ken Banks. She's a mother, a grandmother. She's a spark. She is wicked awesome, and I'm honored to call her my friend. Everyone, please welcome Gloria Mayfield-Banks to the show.
I gotta get my camera right.
Thank you.
This is what happens when you do it yourself. Going around. Okay. I would really like to work right now. What is yours? I got the time to act out.
The little one, I think, all black.
Okay, I'm excited to be here. I'm truly excited to be here. You know what it's like to be the last speaker when you all had a week of fabulous speakers. You just had lunch after a walk, so wake up. And no one wants me to living, caring, giving, sharing. Boy, oh boy, I love to work with the daring. A magic million, can you imagine such? Of course you can, we've got the touch. I'm small in stature only, but I'm heavy in belief. I'm leading by example, so you can count on me as I flash this $1 million smile. The world will know it's all worthwhile, because I'm banking on the magic and I'm banking on success. I'm banking on some people who simply want the best. I'm proud to be an executive, and I'm proud to be a leader of leaders. My name is Gloria Mayfield. And so I introduce myself that way all the time, even in the morning. It's amazing what happens to you if you talk to yourself like that in the bathroom. Living, caring, how are you giving? Let's start somewhere. I'm really excited to be here. You know, I watched this show on Netflix. It was called The Ripple. And it talks about how one thing you do leads to another thing you do, another thing you do. You know, so one of my best friends in all of Mary Kay is Katrina Harris Earl, who happens to be Tracy's best friend. So Tracy hooked up with Walter. Next thing you know, I'm hooking up with Walter. Walter used to come down from Delaware and kill me, you know, 50 times a week. And now I'm with another woman who lives right next door to me. It's almost like she can look into my kitchen. Don't eat that! Oh my God. So I'm with you guys seriously about getting your body and stuff. I'm 220 days away from turning 70.
Oh, wow.
I'm just gonna tell a little bit about my story. I'm originally from Detroit, Michigan. I'm the third of four girls. And interesting enough, my father wanted a boy, so they had the fourth, but we all turned out to be girls. But my sister, my youngest sister, the fourth, is in the United States Hall of Fame for gymnastics. And she's a world-class rhythmic gymnast. Now she has a gym in New York, a nonprofit in New York, celebrating, I think, 27 years of a nonprofit. She takes all kids from around the world into the Olympics. And her son is right now world-class trampoline and tumbler. And when he was like 3 years old, I was like, oh, he's special. And you know, when you're that yourself, you're like, man, not something. That boy's special. Jumping all over everything. So he's a world-class amazing. My oldest sister, Pamela, was a teacher in Detroit. She writes books. My other sister, Amy's in Chicago. She started a cake company called Comfort Cake. And she used to work at Fashion Fair. She was a vice president at Fashion Fair. So can you imagine Thanksgiving dinner? The rest of the dinner, my mother said, I'm gonna go and put on lipstick. Both of us look at her like, who lipstick you don't put on? So yeah, and then it was me and then my younger sister. So in the seventh grade, who was I telling from Panama? Yes. I was telling Panama. In the seventh grade, I did a book report. In that book report, I took, I don't know where I was not being creative, but I took the textbook and did took the pictures out of the textbook about the Panama Canal. The teacher called my mother and said, something's wrong with Gloria. She used the textbook to do a book report. And that's how they found out I was dyslexic. So I grew up dyslexic. And of course, everything that was once a challenge becomes a blessing. And so school was always very, 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 very hard for me. But I had just one teacher. Anybody here been a teacher? Yeah. Yes, we talked about it earlier. Yeah. So my mother used to be a teacher, then she became a nurse. No, she was a nurse, then she became a teacher. But this one teacher stayed with me. And when I got to high school, she put me in a special program. She said, you need to put a business program at Wayne State University. So I used to go from high school and ride a bus, finish high school, an hour ride to Wayne State, put me in a special program, and an hour back. I was a cheerleader. You could tell that, right? Yeah. I was the captain. You could tell. We were state champs. And we won. Tell everybody, right? So I was a high school cheerleader, got through that, went to Howard University. My sister went to Howard first. Yep, my sister went to Howard first. And then my mother wanted me to go to Hampton University. And I was like, no. And I had just seen my sister graduate from Howard, so I was like totally into that. So I had a great time at Howard. People asked me if I was in a sorority. I never joined a sorority, so I'm part of Me by Me. Yeah. Because my mother sent me a check at first week at Howard. It was $25, and she said, you can make it off of this. Okay, let's do it. I was like, no, I need a job. So I was working. So when they said that you could play, but you would have to give up your job, I was like, no, I actually know. Then I was a workaholic. So if there's anybody in here that's workaholic, don't be embarrassed about the fact that you're a workaholic. It's a good thing. That's what you love to do. You gotta find what you love to do. So anyway, I left there and moved to Boston to work for F.I.R.E Corporation. And that's where I met my first husband. And he was a protector. He was a fierce protector. I was working at nights and I was in manufacturing. And I learned then something about myself, that there's things you learn along the way. And I fall in love with people who protect me. I surround myself with strong people. And after 2 years at Polaroid, I decided to go to Harvard Business School. My sister ahead of me had gone to Harvard Business School as well. But I want you guys to know I started Harvard Business School the first day with a black eye. So nobody knew that I had a black eye, because that's the first time I put makeup on, was to cover up a black eye. But I kept going, and I was in 10 years of domestic violence. And through that whole time, we had, I lost 3 babies. Had a baby, but I lost a set of twins. And then right after I lost the set of twins, we decided to adopt. So we were right at the adoption, like we found your baby. And that's when I found out I was pregnant. So I had my daughter Juliana, and then 13 months later, I had my son, Sean. So getting pregnant wasn't the issue, it was keeping the children that was the issue. So now, it's time for me to get a divorce. And I don't know if any of you have been there, but you know you need to get a divorce, but you're too afraid to get it. You know you need a divorce, but what's going to happen to you if you get a divorce? You know you need a divorce, but no one else in your family has gotten divorced. That's where I was. My parents were married for 62 years before my dad passed. So I'm from this environment where that was what was going on. But I went down to my girlfriend's house, who lived 2 doors down from me. She had a Mary Kay Center class. I was not thinking about entrepreneurship. I wasn't thinking about selling makeup, because the only makeup I wore was lipstick. And if I had to go out at night, I wore brown eyeshadow. You can tell where I put it, but I had lip. That was my stuff. But anyway, so she had dinner. I mean, she invited me to Mary Kay. I said, "Are you gonna cook?" She said, "Yeah." She's from Jamaica. She knows how to cook. So I went down there. In that moment, I saw this woman sell $350 in 2 hours. In that moment, I looked up to my kids and I said, "I'm gonna sell Mary Kay." In that moment, I need to make some extra money. And at that moment, I knew I didn't have any time to do it. So one of the things I do is teach people how to break through their current environment to get to where they want to go, because everything in your current environment will cause you to move into a comfort zone. And there's absolutely no comfort in the comfort zone, but we describe it as that because that's what we're used to, but it's not providing you what you want. So for me, I decided to try it. Just as a whim. I remember going home to my mom and selling Mary Kay. She was like, "No, you're not selling Mary Kay. You just paid $60,000. You're gonna Harvard, and now you're gonna show lipstick." So, okay, so that moment, I quit. Okay, but in the next moment, I went to a meeting, and I saw what was going on, and I decided to join without telling anybody. And 5 months later, I was driving a car. 10 months after that, I was driving a Cadillac. Somewhere in between there, I broke my first company record. I've got about 10 or 12 company records with Mary Kay. There's 3.5 million women in Mary Kay. I was #1 in the company for 6 years in a row. You're telling that because you know this part of the story. So I built in 8 different countries. I remember going to Brazil, and we decided to open up in Brazil. And I didn't speak Portuguese, but I spoke the language, which was I'd walk up to women and say, "Facebook?" They said, "Yep." I said, "Look it up." What if you got a Facebook? If you do a Facebook thing, then you can be one of my clients. So I started building there. I built leaders there. I built leaders in Mexico, and Canada, and UK, 8 different countries. Spain, Colombia, all around. Now I teach all around. So it's interesting what happens when you say an affirmation long enough, because for years I would say the world would know. And now I teach on an international basis. I've been to 65 countries so far. And my husband called me yesterday and he said, "Do you want to go to Antarctica?" That's how. I said, "That sounds like that's your dream." But that would be the 7th continent that we would hit. So I'll hit all 7 if we decide to go. Okay. So I love to travel. I love to inspire other people to travel. I love freedom. I love to inspire other people. But what I love to do is teach ambitious women. I'm a fiend for women who are ambitious and taking them to another level, whether they're emerging or whether they're big levels. I specialize in increasing people's performance through leadership skills. I have a book called Quantum Leaps. I'm going to talk a little bit about that book, and then I really hope that we can open up for questions. So like that. I do want to say Ken had 2 children. I had 2 children. We blended our family. So I'm in Boston and he's in Baltimore. And I take my kids on a vacation to Disney World because, you know, you cannot get the Mother of the Year award until you take your kids to Disney. Right? So take them to Disney. And I see him and he sees me. And so he walks up to me and he says, "Is your husband with you?" I said, "No." "Is your wife with you?" You know, I'm in sales. I'm smart. So he says, "No. My name is Ken." "Oh, my name is Gloria." So we talked for a few minutes. And You guys, it's a true story. In 15 minutes, the first 15 minutes, he said to me, I just want to let you know, I'm never getting married. I said, "That's cool. I'm going to tell you right now, don't talk to me because you will fall in love with me. And I'm getting married in 5 years. So we got married.
Awesome.
We have 5 grandkids, 19, soon to be 18 next week, 14, 10, and 7. And every time they graduate from high school, I take them on a trip wherever they want to go. So the first one wanted to go to Puerto Rico, so we're going to Puerto Rico. Next one, she graduates in June. She wants to go to Europe and see the castles. She says, I want to see the castles in the UK, and in Wales, and in France. And I said, I don't know how many castles you got. We're going for a week. We're going to Washington. You want to go see? But I love the fact, you guys, that other women have shown me what's possible. And I remember a friend of mine who was a big, successful woman. She used to take her kids to Italy, the whole family. The kids, they were sort of grown. The boyfriends, the fiancés, the mother, everybody. I was like, you take your kids to Italy, the whole family? And I take my family to Hilton Head. Okay? So your dreams have to get bigger. And I know being here this week, your dreams will get bigger and your dreams will expand. And so for me, now what I do, I tell people I finished Mary Kay 4 years ago. I did retire, although that's what they call it. I say I graduated. So I graduated because now I have a coaching business, and it's a successful coaching business. And I love the fact that I can teach and speak, and really talk to people one-on-one. And I'll talk a little bit about the FIRE framework, but right now I want to talk a little bit about the quantum leap. And what I want to do is really just give you my 10 pieces of the quantum leap. And then I really want to open up for questions, because I think we're going to have a very powerful conversation, because you guys have had a lot of information given. And I always tell people at the beginning, please ask a question, because the question that you ask is someone else's question as well. They didn't have the first to ask the question. And because you ask a question, it doesn't mean that you don't know the answer to the question. You just might want somebody else's look upon that question. But I will tell you, if in fact you're ambitious and growth is what's in front of you, probably the one thing that's stopping you is support. Because people ask me all the time, what's the one thing that women don't do enough of? And that is get the kind of support that they need for the growth. And the one thing that if you're going to cause growth, it costs. And the cost you need is the support. And the challenge with support sometimes is letting go of people who don't give you the right kind of support. And so it's not just finding the support, it's also giving up the control. Because if you hold on to the control, then you hold on to the growth. The other thing that's missing from many people are the mentorships. Some were talking, who was I talking to? I was talking to one of you about being able to, Angela, right here. Right, we were talking about, this is something I'm truly in love with, especially in a room of this caliber room, because women who can go away for a week, pay this amount of money that y'all came paid to come here, and be without your cell phone. I'm just straight up, y'all. My cell phone is more important than my bra, and my bra is important. I really don't know how, but that's okay. That's for another time. But what I was going to say was, I forgot. Oh, me and Andrew were talking, and what I love is that we are in a place, you guys, where women have to really talk about what's going on. You got to talk about the amount of money you make. You got to talk about what your business does. You got to talk about what your secrets are. You have to, and the first ability for people to do that is abundance. What we know is that men have forever been able to talk. They don't have a big deal about the kind of money they make. They don't keep the secrets. And for some reason, we keep the secrets. So my deal is, And I believe this with all my heart. You have to take women to the table so they can turn around and help other people get to the table. Because if you just get to the table by yourself, you haven't really done what's important. I think that every single person who's ambitious wants these three things. They want to have impact. They want to have influence. And they want to work intentionally. Eventually, in order to increase. All those three things are needed. Increase. And the reason they want to increase is because they want to be more generous. It's very hard to meet an ambitious person who doesn't want to give away something, whether it's their energy, their money, their skills, their time, their talent, they want to give away. But until you understand how to give away, until you live in that land of abundance, it starts with giving away your secrets, the things that work. Next week, actually, of February, I'm going to be talking, and I invite you all to be part of this masterclass. We'll do a masterclass that talks about the elite secrets that elite leaders know that cause growth. And so a lot of people need to understand that even if you're the only leader that you're leading, some people lead individually, some people don't. I want to go back to the thing that I had not planned on being an entrepreneur. I truly had planned on entering the C-suite. I wanted corporate. I wanted to get with field. I didn't know at that time, you know how we didn't know that it was brick. We thought it was glass. Everybody talk about the glass building. It ain't glass, it's brick. And sometimes you cannot break through that. So for me to switch was a big deal. I want to tell you that a part of my abundance happens when you're at Harvard Business School, because when we get into a situation like that, where everybody else goes like, ooh, wee, you're the only one that's not ooh, wee. I'm the one that's like, oh yeah, they made a mistake. I'm the only one that's not supposed to be here. You think like you're the only one that wasn't, you're the mistake that they let in, and tell you, breathe in the belief that other people have. So I had one teacher who I was going to fail on his class because it was finance and it was numbers, and I'm just like, it's hard thinking. So he brought me into the room and he said, I want to let you know you're very smart, but you can't take this. And I really couldn't take it. Like, it was 4-hour test. I would put one line because it would take me 4 hours to read the test, let alone to write the test. So the other thing I always tell people is, if you believe in abundance, the first thing you need to figure out is what you can give away. That's nothing to do with money. The first thing you want, if you want abundance to come back to you, you have to figure out what you can give away that has nothing to do with money. Money is certainly what we can give away, but there's other things that really change things that have nothing to do with money. And so I really I hope to inspire women to think about what they can give. It might be to a nonprofit. It might be to a profit. It could be the little girl across the street. It could be somebody in your church pew that needs you to say something positive to them in one way or another. But we have to get to a place where when another woman asks you, what do you do? How do you do it? How do you become good at it? How do you get paid at it? How do you increase your pay? How do you increase what you're doing? Why would you use my service? How do you serve other people? How do you make it? Because we can't deny this, and we just can't fix what you're not really acknowledge, is that we stay so tight and so busy with our own lives that we forget what we can give to other people. How many of you have had teenagers? How many of you have a teenager right now? Put your hand up high, I'm gonna pray for you. I always tell this story. My goodness, my son was about 16 years old. He's 16 years old, getting ready to go into his high school year. And I'm in Mexico teaching, and I get a call. You know that call. Son's in trouble. I'm like, you ain't even seen the ghetto. How'd you know you're acting crazy? So he was acting nuts with his friends. And I shipped him off to an all-boys military Christian academy where they pray every day at 4:30. Where guys started opening the welcome with, you can have it your way, except Burger King is 17 miles down there and there's no cell phone. Me and my daughter who dropped him off looked at each other like, I want to tell you, that's just another example of what appeared to me at that time to be one of the hardest things for me, because my daughter was going to be going to Spelman, and this was the year for me and my son to be alone, just have our own time together. But he ends up going to this school. I tell that story because some years later, my support, what's it called when people take your money?
Scam.
Credit. They go to jail for it.
That's the big.
It's like it shows up in life. So she embezzled from me. And she did end up going to jail. However, my son, who goes to this military school, had one teacher who taught him how to write. But you know I couldn't teach him how to do that. She taught him how to write. The teacher taught him how to write. He ends up going to the one college that he gets into, which is Purdue University. Gets to Purdue University, hangs out with the right kid. Fully motivated about school. Gets into Michigan State Law School on a full ride. Calls me after a year. Says, Mom, I just got a call from University of Michigan. And I can go from the 139th law school to the 9th law school. But I have to pay for it. I said, okay, if I'm not paying for it, this boat has floated. I paid for college and let them. So he ends up going to the University of Maryland. Michigan. Great law school. I'm in court now. My son writes the paper called the impact paper. How do we impact? After they assign the woman to the judge and everything, to the courts, jail and everything, the judge calls me up and he says, who wrote this impact paper? I said, my son. He said he's going to be a great lawyer. And now he's one of the youngest partners in the state of Michigan.
Awesome.
Exciting. My daughter is a Mary Kay sales director. My daughter and my daughter-in-law, I have a stepdaughter, a daughter-in-law, and a daughter. 2 out of 3. I was able to get my Mary Kay business. I built a $2.5 million business just for mine, and they got $1 million each. So they run those businesses. And my entire business got up to $35 million in terms of the worldwide. So again, the abundance allows you to give away things that you didn't even know you were going to give. So I'm going to give you these 10 things that I believe, and the way I feel passionate about teaching what I teach is because I know it might be for you, but it might be for somebody else that you're leading. It might be for somebody else that you're talking to. It might be for somebody else that you know might need this information. Also, I definitely love gathering friends. So I hope that you guys will follow me on either Facebook or Instagram. It's Gloria Banks on Instagram. It's Gloria Mayfield-Banks on Facebook. But I really do think that what we have is an ability to connect with people and through that connection, a lot of things happen. So I'm going to give you these 10 things that I absolutely love. And I've trained these things over and over and over again. And then, we can open up for questions. But to me, these 10 things are required to make a change, to cause a growth, to leave behind something you might want to leave behind in order to make room for the new that's going to come into your life. And the first one is a decision. And I would tell you that this is probably the most important thing I learned while I was at Harvard Business School for 2 years. I do want to tell you that after I attended Harvard Business School, I then left Harvard and sold computers for IBM. And then after I sold computers for IBM, my girlfriend who was working at Harvard asked me to come back. So I came back and I did admissions for Harvard. And I traveled a lot to South Africa and to Europe to teach other kids how they could apply to Harvard. And it was pretty powerful to watch, even a lot of African Americans, not African European Black people, learn about how they can expand themselves. So I'm here to tell you guys, we have to keep up the conversation of expanding because they don't know it. I start shaking when I think about how many people don't know it. And it does come from, you guys, listen, it comes from ambitious people like yourself who think outside the box, right? Okay, so decisions. Your ability to make a decision, here's the most important thing about a decision, that number one, people who are slow make slow decisions. People who want to move quickly make fast decisions because the rule is, if it's a good decision, you're well on your way. If it's a bad decision, you can fix it. The worst thing you can do is sit on the fence of indecision. It's the most uncomfortable place you will be. So if there's a decision you have to make, just you have to hurry up and make the decision because you can fix it. You will find out if it's the wrong decision along the way. You find out if your decision is good or bad along the way. That's why some of us end up in a divorce. Some of us end up in a bad relationship. But you don't know that until you go for it. If you stop ahead of time, you've already missed that as an option. So making a decision is important. And I want to say that part of the ability to become a good decision maker is to understand emotional management. Because emotional management can really, I'm gonna talk a little bit more about that. That can really stop you because you get so involved in other people's conversations. That's a problem. Number 2 is confidence. Confidence is building confidence. The art of building confidence. And this is why I tell people all the time. Everybody has confidence in one area, but nobody has confidence in every area. So a big part under confidence is self-doubt. The biggest thing about self-doubt is everybody has it, but they forget to identify it. So if you can identify where you're doubting, where you doubt yourself, you can do something about it, but you can't do anything about it until you've identified the self-doubt. Okay, everybody gets to stand up. Stand up. Right there. You can have lunch, go to try. Turn around 3 times. Turn around 3 times. 3 times. Yeah, there it is. Now you get to hold on. Now you sit back down.
That's mine.
The confidence. This room gives confidence because people are watching you. Other places, you got to gain confidence. But in order to receive confidence, build confidence, the number one thing that's required is courage. Confidence is only built through courage. So if you are helping other people grow in any magnitude whatsoever, find out where they're lacking their courage. If you have a team of youth, find out where it is. If you have a team of others, find out where it is. When I'm leading a big group of people, and my background is sales, the first thing I'm going to ask them is, where are their fears? And guess what I'm looking for? I'm looking for, are they courageous enough to tell me where it is? Because if they say they don't have any fears, they're afraid to tell you what their fears are. You can't fix the fear unless you're talking about fear. But courage is a big deal. So if you are supporting anyone in any direction whatsoever, helping them in any way, you need to find out where is their courage stopping them from blowing up. Because it's never their ability. One of the gifts I believe I was blessed with since I led a big group is I have a very large belief in the capacity of women. I believe that women can do so much more than what they think. And in this group, at our ages, we know now our capacity. This is what I really believe. I think women in their 20s are trying to figure it out. Trying to figure it out in their 30s, their 20s, 30s, they're trying to figure it out there. In their 40s, early 50s, they're grinding. They're grinding at their job, they're grinding at their church, they're grinding with their community, they're grinding with their kids, they're grinding. Once you get to the upper 50s, 60s, the name of that chapter is Don't Count Me Out. How many feel on that? Like, don't count me out. Don't count me out. I got a whole lot more to deliver. And therefore, you lean upon your wisdom, you lean upon your experience, but it's the attitude of don't count me out that matters the most. Even I were talking, you have to be careful who you hang around. Because if you hang around slow people, what happens? You become slow. If you hang around small thinkers, you become small. Think about if you hang around people who don't go anywhere, you end up nowhere. Right? But it takes courage to walk away from circles you no longer belong.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't feel good. We want to stay in those circles. We even look around those circles. We even know we don't belong in those circles. But we stay in those circles because we want to make other people feel comfortable. If your goal is to make someone else comfortable, you need to become uncomfortable with yourself. If you're staying to make other people comfortable, you immediately become uncomfortable with yourself. It may take you a minute to understand it or to admit it, but there's a level of uncomfortableness. And you'll know it when you wake up, you know it when you're going to sleep, you're uncomfortable. So that's a big piece of it. Number 3, or bullet, whatever. Number 3 is vision, imagination, and belief. Like, seriously, y'all, I was walking around this property, and I was like, who envisioned this place? It's interesting. They got a pool over here, and a bar over here, and a tree over here. I was like, who put this together? This was vision for somebody. For somebody. But if you're a leader, and if you're going someplace, remember this. The most important muscle you must develop is your imagination. And here's the truth about it. When you were a little girl, you had a vivid imagination. You didn't have anything hit you wrong. So you had a big imagination. You had all this energy. Your mother would put you on time out or spank you. Back in my day. You shut the door. She put you in your bedroom. Shut the door. You cry for a few minutes. Next thing you know, 45 minutes later, you're having a tea party. Right? All your friends are there, and a tea party, everybody's dressed up, and your mother comes in to check on you. How you doing? You're like, are you sound bad? Because your vision, your imagination was so strong. And then you grow up and you have disappointment. And you get in trouble at school. And a boyfriend messes you up, or an ex-husband messes you up. Disappointment. You guys, what happens when we're faced with disappointment is our imagination gets cut. Because the cost of imagination, which is different than dreaming, the cost of imagination is don't put it in your space, kill your desire. I can't do it. I don't have enough money to do it. How am I ever going to do it? It kills a lot of people's imagination. And in this room, with this caliber of women in here, you guys have held on to your imagination more than most. Because that's how you've gotten as far as you've gotten. But if you want to go further, first thing you have to do is go back and get your imagination. Because it's from the imagination that you create. So under that, I want you to put down the word passion. Because probably passion is probably the most important place you can go if you want to create power. Because passion, when you're passionate, that's the only thing that cuts the noise, is when you're passionate. And here's what I've learned from so many people is that we don't know the importance of it, so we don't recreate it. But any place you've had passion before, you had to create it. You put it there, you stay silent until it starts coming to you. So here's what I want to tell you. Most people will either work in their profession or they work in their passion. And by the profession, I mean you professionally show up. You professionally are there at 9 o'clock. You professionally are dressed the correct way. You professionally go to the meeting. You don't contribute to the meeting, but you professionally have to be there. But if it's driven by passion, you get there at 8:45. You get there, it doesn't matter. Your hand is up all the time. You've got creative ideas. You're in passion when you're creative. It takes passion to be creative. Or you're going to be professional. You know you're in passion if you wake up thinking about it and you don't want to go to bed. Otherwise, you're being professional. So you guys check yourself, because you can get stuck in the professionalism of it, and you're shrinking your passion, means you're shrinking your growth. When you shrink your growth, you start doing things, but you become unhappy very quickly. The passion is a big deal. And you need to have the passion before you create the belief. And a lot of people, you hear these stories about fear of failure and fear of success, right? So people they cut themselves off because they refuse to dig into the piece of the imagination, the belief, because they start telling themselves they can't do it. That's a self-doubt. So it cuts the belief immediately. Okay, number 4 is Gloria S.T.E.M. To me, skill management, time management, emotional management, and money management. What I love about those 4 things is that anybody ever comes into your office and they say they're frustrated, it's one of those 4 areas. Ask them. Point blank. I'll say it again. Skill, time, emotions, money. So if they come to your office, you just ask them point blank, because what happens is we start listening to their stories. How many of you get tired of hearing the stories? Right? There's so many stories now. So let me give you mine. Then I say, you know what? That sounds like a story for your mother, your sister, and your best friend. You want me to see you as your story, or do you want me to see you as responsibility? So then they want you to see them as their possibility. So they stop telling you the story. Do not be a story gatherer of people you're trying to lead. Doesn't they become your girlfriend? And you can't lead them. Doesn't mean you don't care, and you have to let them know. Because you can't lead people you don't care about. They have to know how much you care before they listen to how much you lead. But you can lead them and care about them without letting them get to the depth of the things. Because guess what? You end up carrying their luggage. And I used to say to them, I'm not going to carry your luggage. I have enough luggage of my own. I don't want to carry your luggage. So when you ask them and they walk in, you just ask them straight up. I'm going to give you 4 things. You tell me which one you're most frustrated about. Is it your skill management? You don't know how to do it. Is it your time management? You don't know when to do it or how to fit it in. Is it your emotional management? You don't recognize that you're emotionally shaken by the situation. Or is it your money management? What stopped you guys? Because I was in domestic violence, I used to have these horrible arguments, horrible fights, blah, 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 blah. But because I was so passionate about my business, I would drive to the appointment, crying, blubbering, get to the driveway, reapply my makeup, go into that skincare class, sell some thousands of dollars, get back in my car, blubber all the way home. But the passion of the performance cut the noise. Can y'all relate to that?
Yeah.
The passion of the performance will stop you or give you the energy to do what you weren't able to do before. I could then find a skill. I could then make the time. One of the biggest things in our life, especially at this level, is your time management. Because if you're in this room, you are carrying your issues and your family's issues and your cousin's issues and your ancestors' issues, because you're the one who makes all the decisions. You're the one who they come to for answers. You're the one who has the strongest emotional management. You had the best bounce back ability of everybody, and that's why you're in this room. That's why you're an achiever. An achiever has bounced back ability. And so you're going to be called to be the solution, the person that gives the solution, but you got to be careful not to get caught up in it. Number 5 is goal setting. If you want to have a quantum leap, you have to know how to set goals. You'd be surprised how many people don't know how to set goals. They have what they think is a goal, but we all heard about it. You have to have the right. It's got to be a SMART goal, so it has to be specific. It has to be measurable. It has to. So you know what? Smart. But you got to ask yourself every time you have a goal, is it, I just want to know. What she told you is absolutely right. Most people don't know how to set goals. Personally, you need to know that if you have a goal and if you really want to happen, if you really want it to happen, the most important component is your subconscious mind. Not the conscious mind, it's the subconscious. Subconscious mind runs 95% of what you do. The best way to keep it up is to have signs around your house. If you have signs around your house, now this was my rule. It worked for me really good. I used to tell people you have to have 5 signs. You don't have 5 signs, I don't consider it a passion goal. I consider it a dream. You have 5 signs, and here's where they go. One goes in your bedroom. Big, like a big sign, not no little thing, big sign. Bedroom, bathroom. One goes in the kitchen cabinet. So you open up the glass in the kitchen cabinet. One's in your car. That's not so big. on the dashboard. And then one is right over the TV. Every time you gotta watch the TV, you gotta remove the goal so they can see it. So I went to one of my leaders' house tonight, and I was visiting her and my wife and visiting. I said, "Where'd you go?" She said, "Right there." I said, "Where?" She said, "Right there." I said, "Is that?" Because they don't want to mess up their house. My thing was, if the UPS man comes to your house and he does not say what's going on in here, the goals aren't big enough. The goal posts aren't big enough. If you really want it, like you really want, you know how many people say they want something, but then they snatch it back. I'm not willing to do this. I'm not willing to do that. I'm not willing to do this. I'm not willing. Which brings me to another topic, which is what if you are a coach or if you're being coached, the number one thing a coach brings you is accountability.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you keep from that too?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. The number one thing I thought we think it is their brilliance and their wisdom and their know-how. Sure. But the coaches you stay with and the coaches who shift you are the coaches who push you and make you accountable. Like the woman I tell you that lived next door to me, I can tell her everything to eat, like all day long, because tracking is a big thing of it, but she's like, oh, I can't. Self-filming, right? You feel me, conversation, right? Word results, you know what I'm saying? Okay, so accountability is a really big piece of that, the coaching thing. But I would tell you to ask yourself, do you have a goal? Is it backed by passion? There's two speed, slow or go. It's not no, because people in this room, ambitious people, do something. They always do something. We're not good at nothing, right? Ambitious people are not good at nothing, but it can be slow or it's gone. And a goal and your passion will drive that. 6 is image. Image. Now, Fritz, I think your name was Fritz, was talking about fitness. You're here with Walter, fitness is a big piece of it, you know. Then you talk about menopause, y'all. I remember the day I broke out from that sweat. I had a big retreat, at least 500 people there. I took the mic and when I tell you, who can identify? That first one, y'all remember that first? Oh, big one. I did. I seriously, I walked on the mic. I said, I want to let y'all know I'm getting ready to die right now. She may die right now. That's obviously what's happening to you. Don't, but I totally remember that. But image is a big part of it. Through the hard times and through the good times. This is what I want to say about image. Image is one of the biggest components of influence because you have 7 seconds to make a decision about somebody. I heard her say that earlier. You have 7 seconds before they size you up. And it's not just how you look. Image first is your energy. It has nothing to do with the loudness. It has to do with what you are willing to throw to other people before they ask you. What are you willing to throw to other people? I sit in a room and I will watch who applauds and who doesn't applaud. I watch because if you were up there as a speaker, you would want someone to applaud for you. So whatever you want, you have to give it. You know, I watch. The number one thing that you can give to a person is a smile. It's the most communicative thing that you can do, no matter what your situation is, no matter what language, and no matter what age. So if you meet somebody that's 5 years old, or you meet somebody that's 85 years old, the best thing you're going to get them is a smile. The thing that you need to know how to do is give a handshake. And as women, we all know it, but it cannot be the finisher. That don't work. It's the most ineffective thing that you can do. This is the most professional thing that you can do. And if you want a relationship with them, you give them the shove. The shove looks like this. You don't know well enough to give them a hug, right? But you can give them the shove. Did you see what she did when I did it? Some of you can see. If you do a shove with somebody and you go like this, they almost automatically like. If you want somebody I met in here, Stephanie, she was a hugger.
That was big.
Right. That was you. Right, for the first mention, I'm a hugger. She said, I'm a hugger. Right. But the shug is the way in which you do it. It's not in this environment, but it's really, Okay, so I was talking to somebody else, and I said, one of the key things you can do is learn people skills. You guys, you take your note from me, take this down. People skills are learned. Yeah. You're not born with them. They are developed, they are created. And so many people think that I have or I don't. It doesn't, and it doesn't, like there's a woman that I brought in the very table. Now, she had never worked outside the home before. She's a mother of 5 kids, 4 boys and a daughter. And they were sort of close in age. So like when she hit the high school, when they called her into the high school, the whole building shook. Gwen is here. Gwen was, but she walked with a fierce walk. Her energy was unstoppable. We called her Mufasa. No joke. So, meaning that her personality and my personality were very different. I'm loud, blah, 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 blah. She's quiet, just very different person. It didn't matter. How do you throw your energy? Ask yourself, how do you throw your energy? One of the ways I throw my energy is I ask questions. I'm honestly curious about people. And the area that I'm most curious about is their family. So you gotta ask about the family, ask about the kids, and I'm literally curious. But that naturally guides me to where I'm going. Thank you for reminding me to drink water. But each of you needs to figure out that for yourself. What's your gift in that area? How can you build that area? Where does that gift show up? The question you can ask yourself, if you want to build your people skills, is how can I best serve? How can I best serve? One of the things I do teach women, when we're talking about what are your gifts? Each of you should dig to find out your top 10 gifts. And people sometimes struggle with what the top 10 gifts are. So the first thing I tell you is first find out your top 3 gifts. List your top 3 gifts. And then pick 2 more. And then comes the deal where you need 3 more. Then you got to come up with 2 more. Because once you know what your top 10 gifts are, the top 3 gifts are much easier to give away. 3 gifts I have that I know that I have is the gift of charisma, the gift of energy, and the gift of strategy. But for years, I would deny that I had the gift of charisma. Oh boy, you're so charismatic. Oh boy, you're so bad. And we always say, when someone offers you your gift, what do we normally say? So I was walking in the driveway. All of us have a place where we walk in my driveway. God said to me, specifically. First, he told me that my purpose was to take women from ordinary to extraordinary. He said it very clearly. Second thing he said to me, I gave you charisma. Like I opened up your skull and I poured charisma inside your and didn't give it to her. Didn't give it to her. I gave it to you. And that's how I help people find their own gifts. It's not that what he gave to you, it's not for you to deny what he gave you. It's for you to embrace what he gave you and to know that everybody was given their gifts. The other thing is that if you're going to be a strong leader, you got to teach people to operate within their gifts and not deny their gifts. So all of that is under the thing of image, however you want to. How many of you are on social media? Okay. And how many of you are not on social media? Okay. Got it. Okay. So the reason I talk about social media is depending on your career and depending on what you're trying to do to the world, is decide whether social media is a big important piece to you or not. I want to give you a piece of image when it comes to social media. And that is, if it is important to you, understand number 1, it's the freest way to get your brand out there. It's the freest, most lucrative, most effective way to get your brand out. Number 1. Number 2, if you are here working, your personal brand is important. They're not buying the product. They're buying you from you. And then the product. And they will look you up. Number 3, if social media is important to you, make it easy for you. I think people make it so hard for them, and so therefore they don't do it. And so I have this thing that I say all the time: whatever's hard for you becomes easy when you do it over and over. We all do hard. Yeah, if you really think about it, taking a shower is hard. It really is hard. It's like you get up in the morning, you get dressed, you go to the bathroom, get something to drink, then you take your clothes off, you work with all these different products, but because we've been doing it for so long, every day, over and over again, it's one of the easiest things that we do. Like you get up, you take a shower, you boom. You don't take a shower, you stink. That's what I tell people. You don't book a person, you stink. You don't have new customers, you stink. The things that cause you to stink. Okay, but when you do it over and over again, it becomes easy. You don't even recognize.
What is never sleep?
Never to what?
You said social media is the freest way
The
to
freest,
promote yourself.
right?
And then what
Your
was that?
personal brand. is
Your
important.
personal brand.
Your personal brand is important. Your personal brand is important. So this is for people who want to become good on social media and you're not there yet. You go find somebody that's like somewhere between 16 and 22 years old. Stop trying to figure it out. Oh my God, I have to watch another YouTube. Just give somebody who knows how to do it to explain it to you. It's so much easier when someone explains it to you. You know, you hit that button, you hit this button. The other thing is that you pick one and work that one. Don't expand to the rest of them until you fall in love with that. The one you fall in love with is the one you love to be on the most. If it's there. But don't not do it because it's hard. And everything else you say, don't not do it if it's hard, if you like to do it. So, that's okay. Number 7 is passion. I talked a lot about passion, but I just want to tell you that it's one of those key points that you don't grow and no one around you really grows intentionally unless there's some passion. Unless it's picked out. What are you passionate about? Like, I want to open this up for a second. Tell me some of your areas that you're passionate about. I ain't gonna say nothing until coming.
That's about the work that we provided awareness.
Okay.
HIV prevention.
HIV prevention. What's the number one thing that makes you really passionate about? The number one.
Because I lost a loved one to the virus.
Okay. You see what happens when she shares with me her passion? What happens? You get drawn in. Write this down. You get drawn in by the story behind it. You get drawn in by the story behind the passion. What's happening right now in the world is that more women are becoming entrepreneurs than ever before. Small things, give on the side, whatever. Okay, so I ran a big organization in Mary Kay, but each one of those women were independent. Each one of them had to have their own story, and each one of them, I teach them how to tell the story. You have to tell the story. Sometimes we have to learn to tell the story. And guess what? You have to know, please write this down. Everyone is interested in your story. We convince ourselves that no one's interested in our story, but they truly are interested in your story. Like, I was out there, like, how do you start freaking fighting? Like, really, like, what? Before I even think about fighting, you say, why? You want to breathe, you fight, right? It's like, okay, who else has a passion? What's your yes?
To help Black women and women of color feel better in their bodies through
In their bodies.
understanding
And what?
movement.
And movement. And tell me the one thing that makes you most passionate about that.
Where it came from.
Where it came from, or what keeps you going in it right now?
What keeps me going within it? I've been in the fitness industry and I've had my voice silenced. I've been the only Black woman in the room and made to feel other. So I create spaces where to make sure that nobody in that space, I don't care what race, sex, whatever your orientation is, I don't want anybody in that space ever to leave feeling that they weren't seen, they weren't heard, and they didn't feel safe.
Because it had happened to you.
Exactly.
And you get drawn into that story. Who else? Yes.
Empowering Black women to embrace their natural hair.
Yes. Yeah. Girl. Like, my hair's always been this short, like always. Then went to Ghana and I had braids put in. And I was in braids for 2 years and then took them out and got this. And I walk outside, I put on lip gloss because Mary Kay likes the lip gloss. I'm like, oh no, Tuesday, braids are going back Tuesday. So go ahead, tell me why you're I don't know. tell me why you're passionate about that.
Growing up, my dad cut my hair.
Yes.
And when you go to school without hair, the kids pick up on you. Like, you look like a.
Where's your accent from?
Kenya.
Kenya.
Yeah. So growing up, I'm like, whenever I become just a little bit mature, I'm gonna have hair.
Yeah.
And that hair will be natural. Where I don't have to spend money fixing.
Yes. It's so interesting. The reason I asked you that is because when we were in Ghana, all the girls cut their hair. Like everybody's hair was cut. So that was your situation?
Yep.
Yeah, so that they were thinking they were going up without it being a competition thing, your hair, but you're saying it also snatches your identity, away from you. So very interesting, and one thing, my husband has memorized all the countries in the world and where they are. Let's say where he said this all the time. He goes, boy, I know you're dyslexic, Lord. If you could just show me the degree of where. And I was like, but he automatically has people coming to his heart because they say their country, and he says, "Oh, I know your country, surrounded by," and they like lead all in, So again, that's his gift. He uses it and draws people in. Oh, okay. Tell me if I need to rush. Okay, good. But I just wanted to hear what that passion was. And then you guys, okay, so she said I'm passionate about hair, but we don't really connect as powerful as she talks about her day and how it hit her. You see, I'm like, it's so important that you understand in the first few minutes of talking to people that you want to have impressed, you need to know what your passion is, you need to articulate the passion and what drives that passion. And this is what you also know. Passion changes. What you're passionate about in 2025 could be very different in 2026 and different in 2020. It changes. When I often go to Siri, whatever, like, how many more days left? Before I can say, how many more days to because that right now is what I'm using as my passion to be physically able to do what I want to do. As I turn, you know what I'm saying? So your age. Oh Number 8, business. Not right, exactly. Number 8, discipline and hustle. Discipline and hustle. And I loved when she was talking about, when Bridget was talking about discipline. What I've often said to my leaders, and especially to the ambitious people that work with me, I said, what I've loved about you the most is you're never too intelligent to bring out your hustle. Because a lot of people, when they get the degrees and they get that wisdom behind them, they get that experience, they don't want to do the hustle piece. But it's the hustle piece that brings you joy. Yeah, it's the hustle.
But if you don't know how to hustle,
if they don't know how to hustle, I usually have them turn up their passion because the passion will cause you to do things you're uncomfortable doing. So, and because it's the fear that stops them from doing it. It's not like they don't know what to do, but sometimes they don't like, what do you do next? Here's another thing. I'm glad you asked that question. When I'm dealing with women who want to have a quantum leap, one of the things that stops them from moving fast is because they're so busy looking at the big, where they're going, that they forget about what's in front of them. If you can master what's in front of you, then you can get to the big picture. But they don't know how. They just, number one, they see that. Number two, when they talk about that, it's most impressive to the people they're talking to. Like, I want to impress you because the goal I'm going for is that. But what you really need to do is work on it. And to me, Martin Luther King has the most important statement for me. It says, stop focusing on the staircase and focus on the step. And when they can do that, so that's where the hustle has to be, is what's next. Because you're spending your time in the wrong arena. You don't get there until you manage that piece of it. So it's explaining to them. And that brings up another point. You guys, everybody you work with ain't gonna hustle. And talk about frustrating yourself. When you take on the responsibility of other people who don't want to work. And not everybody wants to work, even if they want other things. Even if they say they passionately want to pay off the bills. Even if they say they passionately want to take care of a family member. If they don't know. I'll give you a story that I absolutely love. So I was at church. And this woman, she was signing for our church, right? And so afterwards, she came up to me and she says, "Are you Gloria?" And she does Mary Kay. We didn't know each other. And she said, you know, I've reached this place in my career and I know I can do more, but I just can't get the hustle up going. I just can't do more. So I said, well, why can't you do more? She said, it just ain't me. So I said to her, well, because you lost your passion. That, you know, winning another car, getting another diamond, going to state, wasn't doing it for her. So I said, okay, you need a different passion. I said, so tell me about your family. So she started telling me about her family. She said, it's a sister. I said, tell me about your sister. My sister and her husband, they live in Connecticut. They have 4 kids. They're real small kids. And they never get to go on a vacation. They're saving for a house. I said, well, why don't you send them on vacation? She went like this. I said, no, you pay the entire vacation. Like all the kids. She calls her husband. They cannot use their credit card. You decide where you're going to send them. How long are you going to send them for? Where do they want to go? I want to send them to Disney. They want to go to Disney. And they're going to get that. Oh, yeah, that's in Disney. They're going to get the money of the award. So, okay, so she started crying when I gave her the idea. She called her sister. Sister starts crying. Brother-in-law. Everybody's crying. Kids ain't crying. Kids like, what? Now, he's working hard with the hustle to send her sister family to Disney, and she ends up in a cabinet. Right? Because now she has a reason. So that's what I'm saying. If you change the leader, the performance for everybody else changes. However, if I could not get to that passion, that if she cut me off or whatever, I don't spend my time there because I honestly believe there's so many other people I'm supposed to come. And if you can't, I've seen a lot of leaders. I've seen a lot of leaders lose their energy pushing people to do things that they're not willing to push for themselves. And I tell them, I'm not willing to live the dream for you. I can't do it either. So discipline and hustle is really big. And discipline and hustle is big. And you guys, you know, right now I'm talking depression, but it's really everything. If you want to clean your kitchen, you got to hustle. You know, you remember going to the cabinet, like I'm just going to do the spice rack. And the next thing you know, the whole cabinet, everything is out. Everything is out. You get stuff up in the morning, you're like, oh, man. You got to develop how you put on James Brown. Next thing you know, you're like, it shows up in every portion of our lives. It's the same thing when someone's packing. If you're packing to travel, the plane is going to leave. You didn't finish packing. You throw everything in that suitcase to catch the plane. That's the type of discipline and hustle that's driven from passion. Because the passion of making the plane means you don't even care if you got the right clothes. I just need one more pair of pants. Right? So that it takes everything away. But the discipline and the hustle have to show up. Number 9 is the people skills we talked about. People skills are different than leadership skills. People skills are not treating people nicely. People skills is how you make them feel when they're in your presence. So I always tell women, when you're in a group with 3 or 4 women, you guys are talking for a minute, and you walk away from the group, they're gonna talk about you. So you just decide what they say. Y'all trying to figure out why they're going to talk about you, because they're going to talk about you. They're just going to talk about you. If they know too long, they're just going to talk about you. So you give them the fact to talk, because you get to decide what they say about you. You know, you get to decide what it is. So the people skills is big in the leadership. Let me tell you about the leadership skills. There's 3 components growing the leadership skills. First is personal growth. Second is professional activity. And third is the inner leadership skills, which is the mindset, the emotions, just really understanding the leadership, the people, serving people, you know. And, you know, I would say to everybody, As much as most people want to deny it, selling is a big part of almost everybody's career. No matter what you do, you're all selling. Everybody sells. You even sell your kid on taking the trash out. Everybody is selling. The more you learn this artist. So if you've never sold before, never, there's two things I would tell you. One is Dale Carnegie's book on how to win friends and influence people. And another thing would be really study on YouTube or whatever, the skills of selling. Because almost everybody who's reached a high level of success understands persuasion skills. And so I used to tell people all the time, I'm not here to persuade you to marry Kay. And I could, because I'm that good. I'm that good, but I don't want to persuade you to marry Kay because I don't want you to get up from this and say she convinced me to do something and then you don't want to do it. But that's not what I want. But knowing that I could do, not because I could persuade them to do something they want to, I know how to find a need in a person and uncover it for them. Did I do it for everybody? Absolutely not. But my numbers were so high because I worked the numbers so high, because I was so passionate, because my kids were 1 and 2 years old. I did not. And this is what somebody told me. They said, when you get a divorce, that your life is going to go down and you're going to look uglier.
Yeah, right.
First, let me tell you what ain't going to happen. I am not going to get ugly. So therefore, I found my passion. I found my hustle. And because I found that hustle and passion, and when everybody was like, you're going to Harvard School and you're going to start American business, well, you know, everybody in the world, like America, everybody got an idea about what everybody's supposed to do. You do know that. Everybody has an opinion about what you should do. Everybody gives you an opinion on what you should do. But nobody's going to give you the money. Right. Right. So I went forward with that, but it's just a piece of understanding what is it you want more than the noise. You didn't write that down, just write down the word noise. Just listen for the noise. Listen for the noise, because you can't turn it off if you don't hear it. And it's all around you.
Like food noise.
What's that?
Like food noise.
Food noise. My belly. I think it's so weird when you go around Walter to smell that smell. It's like a protein. The last thing is a short-term sacrifice. Short-term sacrifice for long-term success. All of you guys in here could speak of a time when you had short-term sacrifice. In order to have any type of success, it always takes short-term sacrifice. School was a sacrifice. Leaving home was a sacrifice. Moving into an apartment you don't want was a sacrifice. You guys, and I always tell people, you know, some of the smartest, most successful people have had some big challenges. I remember the day before I got married the first time, my ex-husband was my boyfriend at the time, my fiance. The night before I got married, a girlfriend of mine who we went to Howard together was having a party. I wanted to go to her party. He didn't want to go. He said, I don't want to go to the party. I don't want you to go to the party. I said, I'm going to the party. He said, no, you can't go to the party. Oh, I can go to the party. He said, no, I will kick your ass. Go there. That's what he said to me the night before. I said, that's not what you're going to do because my father's in. So that's why I know you're not going to do. I went to the party, gave back the ring. Am I the only stupid person here? Because got the ring back. Got married the next day. Right before I went down the aisle, my father looked at me and he said, there were 700 people waiting in the cathedral in Detroit. And he said to me, I just want you to know, if you don't want to go down that aisle, I will go in there and tell all those people. I did not know if he knew. I still don't know if he knew what was going on. But God, like, he just like, you don't have to go. I said, no, I'll be fine. I married. Honeymoon was horrible. It was horrible. From that moment, it was horrible for 10 years. It was horrible. However, everything that's horrible has a different story if you allow it. Right? The man I'm married to now hardly ever raises his voice. Ever. Honestly, I can point on this hand how many times we've had an argument. Like, we know how to walk through the things. Because he was married. That's why he didn't want to get married. Because his wife was horrible. Like his wife was horrible, and my husband was horrible. We're like horrible together. Like, horrible, horrible. But two horrible. We were the nice ones in the whole group, right? So we got it together, and it made it work. So, but I might not have navigated this marriage if I had not had that person. You know, you can think back to so many things that you navigated through, that you would not have had that stability or the strength or the story or whatever if you had not had it. So everything that's hard is not always bad. It just happens. So I want to stop here and ask if you guys have any questions. Any thoughts? Yeah, it's been a short-term test. I'll read them to you because when I teach, I always tell you, put a bullet, don't matter. So number 1 is decision. Number 2 is confidence. Number 3 is vision, imagination, belief. That's number 3. 3 P's. Vision, imagination, belief. Number 4 is the STEM, right? Skill management, time management, emotional management, money management. Number 5 is goal setting. Number 6 is image. Number 7 is passion. And under image, I want you to put social media. Okay, 7. Number 8 is discipline and hustle. Number 9 is people skills. And number 10 is short-term self. I also want to tell you this. Remember I said I'm going to tell you, when I do my one-on-one coaching, I just want to let you guys know that what I do, it's called the F.I.R.E framework. And it's a 3-month program that I work with women who really want to get to another level. And I just want to tell you the 4 things it stands for: focus, influence, results, and execution. Teaching them how to focus on the most important. Teaching them how to stay in the influence, becoming influential in the area of what influence for the group. Teaching them how to do for the results they want, because they work, but they're not getting the results in the right. And they work, but they're not getting the results in the right area. And they're working, but they're not getting the results in the area that needs to show up for them to have the growth. E is execution. How do you execute? When you execute? With whom do you execute? Why do you execute? And why do you throw away some stuff that you should throw away? You shouldn't have to do everything. Women shouldn't have to do everything. You just have to know what to do. People have to go, how do you do it? What do you do? Well, I have a house manager. Before I had a house manager, I had a living. My mother came to live with me once. Came to visit me once. She said, boy, you have a living? How are your kids going to figure out how to be if you have a living that doesn't want to work? I said, oh, the Kennedys figured it out. I have no idea. My kids are the kids out of Cleveland. I don't know. But all I knew is that I couldn't do that. What I needed to be was in their presence. What I didn't need to do is the baseboard. I didn't need the baseboard. I need to be in the presence. I need to be there for the games and but I need to be there. Now, when they left to go to college, I remember the woman had worked with me at the time. She said, do you need me to stay? I said, yeah, I need you to stay. Like, I need you to stay. So now, that's been a couple of years now. Now I have a house manager. A house manager just comes over whenever I need her over there. Like, she packs me to come to this again. And when I come home, she's going to unpack me. And then she's going to do the cooking. So that if somebody don't cook, because I don't cook, my husband knows how to cook. But if somebody's not cooking for me, then I'm not going to eat the right food. And if it's there, you're going to eat the right food. And if it's not there, you're not going to eat the right food. So I do a lot of that, teaching other women how you can get the right support. Because how many of you, if you're not right now, have felt overwhelmed? Right? And sometimes we don't know that people are out there. And here's the other thing I want to tell you. It's a blessing to those people you hire.
Yes.
It's a blessing to the people you hire, and it immediately increases your income. And I remember when I was teaching, all the top performers in Mary Kay, and they asked me my support, and I was writing this first time, and they looked at me a couple years ago and they said, well, you have all that help? I said, watch this. It's like when I was number 3. I said, watch this. And they said, what's your goal? My goal is when I'm number 1, my goal is you too can be number 2. So I'm going, right? And that's because of the support I have in place, in the right place, and get rid of the ones that are in the wrong. Okay, third question. Yes.
You were gonna tell us about your masterclass.
Oh, the master class. The master class is on February 7th at 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. If you go to GNB Live, GNB LIVE, GNBlive.com.
And
GNB, like Gloria Mayfield-Banks,
yeah.
GNB LIVE, GNBlive.com. And I'm gonna teach how to move from a plateau situation. You get it? Yeah, February 7th. 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Yeah, GNB Live.com. And I would absolutely love it if you told any woman who really wants that type of energy and that type of instruction. And I really want us to think about women from all types of industries who just need a little bit more. Okay, so other than me working with ambitious, strong women, you asked me my passion is there's so many African American women, women of color, or small thinking women who don't know how to get to $100,000 a year. They literally have the skill set. They have the ability, they have the experience, but they don't know how to get to 8333. 8333 is going to get you to 100,000, 16666 going to get you 200,000. A lot of them don't know how to get to that. So when you teach a woman how to get to that, and I'll tell you something. One of the things I've learned is many of them think the reason that's not important is because of the material things. It's not to get a nicer purse or to travel. It's because you need this for the right food. You need this for the security. It determines where you live. It determines the kind of health care. And the reason I'm sharing this with you guys is because they are watching you guys more than they're watching anybody. So please lean in and let them say it to them. Ask them specifically, how much money do you make? Like, don't be afraid to ask them, how much money do you make? Because that will tell me in that answer why and where you are overwhelmed. And what people don't tell you is because you are getting paid too less for what you do, and you think working harder is going to do it, and it's not. So we have to help people understand. Yes.
The whole thing about talking about income has,
Yes.
at least in my experience, you really don't discuss those things. Right.
Women,
Right. And especially in mixed or, with men.
yes,
If you say, I do 150,000 or 6-figure and whatever it is.
yeah,
You're considered a braggart or you're considered
yeah.
whatever. And I've never heard anybody say that we should be talking about what we want as an income. I wrote it down when I started school.
Yeah.
And I wrote down what I wanted, and I exceeded that.
Yeah.
But we don't talk about it,
Right.
and you
Right.
don't want to tell people,
Right.
because then they get jealous.
They don't want people to know because sometimes, right, exactly. So it's kind of I think it's more cultural because in your Asian countries, they talk about it all the time, but they don't talk about sex like we talk.
Right.
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 I think that's the other side of it.
Yeah.
The question that I wanted to ask very quickly is this virtual only or is this in
The master class,
person?
yeah, only virtual, not online. Yeah, yes. But I want to go back here because I think that remark that you made culturally is important because it opens up the doors to watch. When you say to her, tell me how much money you're making because I want to ask you because I'm passionate about what you can do. I'm not saying that you might surpass me, you might be making more than me. I don't know, but I want to open up the conversation because bottom line is if we don't open up the conversation with if these young girls coming out of college, 21, 22 years old, they have no idea where to even set their sights.
Right.
Because they don't know how much people are making.
Right.
They just know that you live in a nice house, but they don't know why you got a nice house. And then the other part that's killing us is the social media is showing them all this stuff that they don't understand. And so as women, if we don't open up the conversation, the more of us open up the conversation, the more the conversations get open for women to make it. Especially like I was talking to Angela with her travel business. If you don't, in the travel business, for example, you can either have a full-fledged travel business, or you can do this much of the travel, you can do this much of the travel. You get to decide which one of them, but you need to talk to other women who have travel businesses to know why they selected to have the full store or the small store, and how much money are they making, how much time is it taking. When we get used to dealing with women who are willing to tell us their truth, right? Willing to tell us their truth, then we can be shifted. But we cannot get that if we don't all do it together. It's like the thing that one person doing is not enough.
Yeah.
We have to really talk. Like, we got, like the other day, I heard that pediatricians are the doctors that make less money.
At least amount of money. But they give them- I gotta do that.
Here, the ones.
I know surgeons make the money.
Yeah.
Right.
Not enough money.
Right.
And nurses not making enough money.
Yeah.
But nobody's talking about it. Everybody knows it, but people aren't talking about it. So until people talk about it, something doesn't happen because of it. And then
And also because they're women too.
Yeah.
and it's only because of what men are talking. Can we be 100% clear of that? Men are talking. They're not talking as much as they need to, but they're talking a whole lot more than what we are doing. So we have to start talking and open up that conversation.
I have 2 questions.
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I gotta get them out before I forget. The first question is.
Oh, baby.
The second question is, how do you rejuvenate and reset? You give so much, how do you rejuvenate and
Oh,
reset?
me. Yeah, you. Yeah.
The first question is,
Okay, it's gonna come back. Here's the thing. It always comes back. Always tell yourself it's gonna come back.
I know this, when you miss the goal, when you miss the mark,
Mhm.
whatever it is, whether it's fitness, financial, professional. What do you do?
Okay.
What do you do? How do you handle that?
All right, I'm gonna handle that one first. Because the first thing I always tell people, everybody misses goals. The problem is you have to understand, are you in conversation about what you're gonna do about it? Or are you in conversation about your self-doubt about it, right? Because most people go into the self-doubt. I missed the goal because I'm not enough, or I'm not disciplined enough, I don't have enough food. The bottom line is if you understand that everybody misses goals, the only way you make a goal is to miss goals. That's the only way you make goals, is to miss goals along the way. If you don't miss goals along the way, you haven't made any goals. Right, you haven't made a goal. You just made a dream or made a statement, but it wasn't a goal. So what I want to say to you is that it's the mindset of the knowledge of understanding. Because once you have the knowledge, you stop beating yourself up. Yeah. It's just, you miss them. There's no way to succeed. It's your ability to bounce back from a missed goal. And then it's the key to being a good goal setter. When you're close to the goal you're getting ready to complete, you have to set the new goal before you finish the goal you're going after, or you celebrate too long and you miss everything after that. Okay with me? So you have to teach people how to set a goal. They complete their goal so that they keep the momentum without the pressure, because they have to stay in the excitement of it. I personally refresh with travel. I like to travel. I like to travel and I like to work. So I love to create work I love to do, because I do like to work. And so when someone said to me, when I graduated, and they said, "How aren't you glad you graduated? Now you can do what you want to do. You can go when you want to go." It's always that. I'm an entrepreneur. I always worked when I wanted to work, even if it was a lot of work. I would travel where I wanted to travel. If I stayed up to 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, because I picked the goal, I wanted to stay up. It brought me joy. You don't understand this joy, but I understand this joy, and this is the joy that it brought me. So. It's like understanding the conversation. I teach women all the time, what is your comeback? It's not that they don't say it to you. It's the fact that you don't have the comeback. So what's the comeback when they ask these crazy questions that you know they're going to ask you? That makes you feel better. So what's your comeback? Because it's a comeback that's important. You protect yourself. Oh, this is what I want to tell you about getting stuff. So my brother-in-law, who's got cancer right now. Anyway, he was talking and he was saying, I always forget stuff. It ain't got nothing to do with that. I forget stuff all the time. I was passing for this trip. You know how you wait for the last thing to say? I was in my kitchen. I knew exactly why I was going upstairs. Go upstairs. I forgot as soon as I got to the step. It was my toothbrush. Okay. Get stuff, but always coming back. Always coming back. Always coming. Great question. Anything else?
I have a question.
Yes.
How do you pivot? Like you were a top national sales director.
Yes.
And then you changed to a different career.
Yes.
So for some of us who are over 40
Mhm.
and we're successful in the current careers we have, but we no longer have a passion for it. So what is it that allows you to pivot without the fear or feeling the fear and doing it anyway?
Right.
Because sometimes we get stuck on what do we do next.
Right. And I'm with the answer. Investment in yourself. Investments in yourself. Like, for instance, you guys do know, without even this being over, how much this has changed, right? It was an investment. It took time. You were here with a bunch of people you didn't know. You came to a place where you didn't know you were coming to. You believed in Walter and what he's done before, some of you before, but it's an investment. I've invested in my new change. I invested in the right people that could help me do that. I didn't think that I needed to do it all myself. And if I thought that I needed to do it all myself, if I had to figure out how to do a funnel, if I had to figure out how to create a website, if I had to figure out all that stuff, I would not do it, or I would be overwhelmed, or I wouldn't like it. But if you bring in passionate people, I don't need you to be passionate about, I just need you to be passionate about a website. Can you just be passionate about the website? Can you be passionate about the funnel? Can you be passionate about my picture? I don't like that picture. You show me too many wrinkles. I don't like that picture. I want you to be passionate about the things that I'm passionate about. But when I have those things in front of me, here's the deal. We don't invest. We're so cautious. The tension keeps me out. When you understand the value of spending your money for you, then those who depend on you are much better. Your family, your children, your community is much better. But what we do is we think, I can't afford it. So the thing is, the investment, if you have to correct it, the investment is the multiplier. That's the multiplier. Because what takes you too long is trying to figure it out. If you don't invest, you figure it out. But if you invest and someone explains it to you because you're already smart, you will go into execution. And the execution gives you across both. Yeah. Figure out a way to invest. And figure out a way to increase so you can invest. It's targeted. Yeah.
So what you're saying the best is if you don't invest, you figure it out. So that means you're wasting your time like figuring it out when you should invest in a professional to do it for you. So you have more time to like be in your creative or like your execution state instead of your figure it out state. Correct. Is what I'm getting from that.
Not only that, it's all of that. Plus, you're not going to do it as well.
Right.
Right. You're going to figure it out. You're going to figure it out, but you're not going to do it. Like I can do my social media.
Yeah.
I can do it. I do pretty good when I do it. But I have somebody who does my social media because we spend all my time trying to do my social media. I can't do this.
It's like the roses on the toilet paper. Like they're doing that.
Right.
So I don't have to worry about
exactly.
I invested in cleaners and that saves me 5 hours of time, which is like
exactly
$5,000 that I could be doing something else. So,
or if you like women love to walk into an organized clean home.
Yeah.
We do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when I was teaching women who have young children, I said the most important thing you can do is hire someone to help you with your home. Because if you're home, when you have young children, if you walk in and your home's a mess, you can't do the side hustle because you're going to clean. Because you have to. You have to pick up the toys. You have to wash the dishes, you have to clean. But if you even had somebody come once a month, right, or once every 2 weeks at the start, when you see the cobweb, you go, oh, I'm gonna talk about that next time about her. Right. But if you don't do that, you go after the cobweb, the next one.
That's the wisdom.
So I don't hold back. But if you have someone else that, then you're gonna free up in your mind. The most important thing to free up. You have time to do it. And what we do is we beat ourselves up. If we don't have somebody, we see the cobweb. We may not even attack the cobweb, but we think about the cobweb for 45 minutes to an hour. Beating ourselves up. The house is not as clean as it needs to be. And then we can't create anything for ourselves because our family's not taken care of. Right. Question here and question out.
I have questions for comment. We were talking about it before you said it.
Okay.
I had a lot of shame about getting somebody to come in and help. Why? Because culturally, my mama, I just have to clean your house.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's a cultural thing. Right? Like, I know other people in other cultures, it's okay to have somebody come in and clean. But like for me, culture, like you have somebody come in and clean, I can do that myself. I kept on saying, but it freed me, to your point, to go to all my children's games, you know, to do the things that I want to do, to be able to travel. When I come home, I don't have to think about, okay, how many floors I got to clean today? How many bathrooms? It just, but I had to get over that fear of what
Other
other
people
people say about me paying somebody to come in and clean my house. It is a fear, I think, culturally, we're not talking about, right?
Right.
Even with
support.
any, whatever it is, whatever that support is, because we're the, you know, strong superwoman, black woman, we can do everything.
Right.
Why should I pay somebody or ask somebody for help to help me?
Do
But
something you
it
can do.
frees you up to do the things that you want to do.
Yeah.
So
It's
thank
very
you.
Thank you. It's very important that you don't have this answer on your check.
Yeah.
You know, that's the woman check, it's the bad thing, and it frees you up for so many things. But the shame is very real, you guys. It's very real. Like, you're not the one cooking dinner for your kids. You're not the one that, like, I remember my son came home and his friend junior high school, and he sat in the car and he said, Spoolie's mom making these Christmas cookies. I said, I know you ain't telling me that because I'm making Christmas cookies. I go right up there and get some Mary Kay lipstick, you get a lipstick, everybody around there. I am not making no cookies. Like, kill this story right now.
Similarly, I get a lot of pushback. I don't get the shame because I don't care. But that I do meal plans. So I get meals delivered to me. They are portioned out. We were talking about it earlier. I get my factor meals sent to me. And so they are perfectly portioned out. I know exactly how much protein I'm getting, how much carbs I'm getting, how much fiber I'm getting in every single meal. And people are like, what do you mean? You get your meals? Oh, you don't cook? And I was like, I cook. I don't have time to cook. And I was like, if you want me to be here showing up for you in this state, then I'm going to have those meals. So now when I go home, I don't have to worry about what I'm going to eat. I go home, grab whatever I chose, pop it in the microwave. While I'm doing that, I do my decompression, and my day has become so much less overwhelming. So because I was waking up thinking about what am I going to do? When am I going to put stuff together?
Right.
What am I going to do here? What am I going to do that?
Right.
And that took so much mental space in my head that it didn't allow me to focus on the things that I was really passionate about and the things that I really wanted to do.
Right. And you guys, that's a big story because that's her story. She has to tell that story. And a lot of women need to hear that story. Where another woman who loves to cook, knows how to cook, going to the grocery store gives her joy. She likes to cook for her family. She likes to figure it out. That's her deal.
That's just that.
What is that fun? So for her, she doesn't need that support because that gives her the joy. But you don't, it doesn't, and we have to talk about that thing to let other people know that's the deal. Different people, some people are like, somebody packs people, it's like, for real? How did it? And I want to say this because it was somebody, I have what's called SIBO, small intestinal bacterial, so gut issues, right? I just want to let you know that if you need that, there's someone in your community that knows how to. And it's a blessing to them because people who like to cook like to cook. If you don't understand. But people like to cook. So can I tell all of us that this food? No, let me say this. Food has to be a part of the program. Please figure out how it works for you. Because if you depend upon it on yourself and that's not your easy love space like that, please find somebody to do that. Because it is a very long-term result when you put the right energy in your body. For sure. Anybody? Well, let's bring up our coach, Mr. Walter, and give him a big round of applause for this amazing desire. Tell you when he told me what he did, I was like, you gave him a gift. And they got the gift bag before they got to the retreat. I was like, and then I saw Tracy when she had the jacket, and then I was like, I've been to a lot of retreats. I've held a lot of retreats. They did no thing about their neck. Without shoes, you get no shirt, nothing, right? You get no bracelet, they ain't had no stuff up in here. You know, I really want to tell you, it's been an amazing job. Yes.
All right, don't go too far. Don't run away. That's something for you. Come on. So just a small little token from us here, Miss Gloria. So I know something for you for coming to bring light to us. You just